Hello there, clarinet beginners. Welcome to your clarinet assembly video. So we're going to start with the basics. Odd thing is the lights turn out. So if you see me get up and wave, that's because they don't know I'm here because I'm sitting too much. So when we go to put our clarinets together, we have to make sure, first of all, that the case is laying flat on the floor. However you're doing this, it needs to be flat. Here's my case. It is nice and flat. I have it up on a desk, but normally if I was doing this with students, I would be doing it right on the floor with them. So you got to also make sure you know which part of the case is the lid and which one is the bottom. Let me show you why. Don't do this with me yet, just watch. So if I had this upside down, the whole thing would fall out and possibly get damaged. So you need to make sure you know which one is the lid and which one is the bottom part. So mine and a lot of yours out there have a little latch, some kind of latch. It should always come up if it's the top, okay? But you know, ask for some parents' help, anybody who's home who can kind of help you figure that out. A lot of times too, the top is, I don't know if you can see this, is a little thinner than the bottom. So that the thinner part should be the top. Okay. So I've determined I have it the right side up. I'm going to unlatch it. I'm going to go through here and talk to you about the names of the instrument, the different parts of the instrument. Okay, so first of all, we have the bottom part. And it kind of looks like a bell. And so therefore it is called the bell. Then we have two long parts. And they're going to all fit together. I'm going to show you how. This is called the upper joint of the body. This is called the lower joint of the body. And they go together, kind of completing like the body, like the longest part of the clarinet for a person. This guy, people always forget the name of this guy. He goes right on top of the upper joint of the body, and it's called a barrel. And it kind of looks like a barrel in a way, the barrel. And then we have two pieces here that come apart. This is called the mouthpiece. This is what your mouth goes on. And this is called a ligature. And it's basically like a brace that's going to hold your reed on. So the whole part of putting how to put a reed on the instrument is going to be a separate video, because otherwise this is a little too long for one video. But normally, if I was putting this together, I would have my reed in my mouth getting it wet, so that when the whole thing is assembled, I can just put it on and the instrument's ready to be played. If your reed is dry and you put it on your instrument and try to play, it's not going to work very well, because sound needs vibration plus air, just like vocal cords. Air coming into your body, the vibration of the vocal cords. So the reed is what makes the vibration for woodwind instruments like clarinet and saxophone. And if it is too stiff and dry, it's not going to vibrate very well. It's going to squeak. So that needs to be wet. Okay? So, but I'm not going to put it in my mouth right now. I'm going to show you how to do that later. Okay. First thing you want to do is you want to start with these two guys, the upper joint and the bottom joint of the body. And how do you know which is which? Okay. Well, mine's old, but mine has the word, it says Artley. It's really hard to see, but it says Artley. A lot of times on the top part of the instrument, of the upper joint, it will say the name of the instrument right up there. Okay, this is the other way that is easy to tell. This is the back of the upper joint. So find the one that only has one key and one long teardrop shaped key. This is your upper joint. Okay, I'm going to put this here for a moment. This is the bottom joint. Okay, this is the back of the bottom joint. No keys at all, and it has this little thumb grip. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use that. You're actually going to put your thumb, your right hand thumb, underneath it. Okay. So putting these two pieces together is the hardest part of the clarinet, and this is the part where most damage happens to the clarinet. Mostly because when you put it together, a lot of time, especially if your cork is new, if you have a newer instrument, the cork, this is the cork, there's cork here, there's cork almost every place where it links together. It needs to be greased. So we're going to talk about that right now. Before you put your instrument together, especially if it's the first, second, or third time, you have to put grease on every single time. If you have a brand new clarinet, the cork has never had grease on it, and you're going to probably have to grease it every day, every single day, for at least a solid week, maybe more. Sometimes it's real puffy, and so putting it together is very difficult, and the first thing kids do is they squeeze to put this together, and then that bends these lovely keys. Even if you can't see that they're bent, if it's slightly bent, it's not going to work. So that's the tough thing about the clarinet. So how do you grease? Well, here is my cork grease. Is probably is backwards, but it says cork grease. Sometimes they're in a different color tube of black or green or something like that. So you always want to have a tissue or a napkin nearby because it's grease, and so it's greasy. You want to take this cork grease and you want to kind of glob it. See how I put a glob on there? A couple places. And now you have to take your hand and twist it on. So it's a little messy at first, but you know, you really do kind of get used to it. It's just like maintenance of anything. Sometimes your hands get a little greasy, and that's okay. That's how we take care of things. Okay, so now that's nice and greasy, and there went my lights. And now I'm going to wipe my hand off because I want to continue picking up the rest of my clarinet. And I'm going to do every other joint that I can see that has a piece of cork on it. So at this time, you should push pause and grease up all of those joints. And if your joints seem pretty good to go, you'll find out when you put it together, that will be the test. Okay, when you're all done putting cork grease all over your joints, do yourself a favor. This is a lint magnet. And anything that it comes in contact with, it sucks up and then becomes gross, and no one wants to use it. And this is important. We need to be able to use this all the time. So you want to roll it back down as much as you can. Take that napkin or tissue you were just using. Wipe off the sides and the top so it looks basically brand new. And put the lid back on. You have to be pretty particular about your cork grease. You just have to get into the habit of it. I think a lot of people find that out the hard way. I'm going to go wave at the lights and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's assume that you have cork greased everywhere, including the other parts. There's another part right on your mouthpiece. This is cork as well. See how mine's nice and brown? Yours might not look that nice and brown. A lot of people think that that means it's old, it's not as good. Actually, it means it's really well greased, and it's going to be easy to put my instrument together. So it actually pays to have older corks, as long as they're not damaged. Okay, so I have my upper body that has the teardrop. I have the lower joint of the body. Has a lot of extra keys right here, and also it has the little thumb grip on the back. Okay, so this is the hardest part because kids tend to grip to twist these together, and then whilst they're doing that, they ram these keys into these keys. See, each of these joints have keys that could ram right bang into each other. So how do you do that properly? Well, first of all, you can see that the main part has to fit together with, they have to line up. Those keys on the front, they have to line up. Okay? There's another thing that you need to look for. This is kind of hard to show you on a video. I will show you in lessons. But underneath this group of keys, there's this little lip right here. That has to go right on top of this little notch. Now you might want to pause, rewind, so you can locate this on yours. Those two things go together because they affect the keys. That way, when I'm pushing some things up here, it affects what's going on down here. Very intricate. Now you know what it takes to put these things together. To make them is pretty intricate. So when you put this together, you're looking to see to get this little guy right here, this little lip on top of this little notch. So when I do that, I have to very gently, and I'm going to show you, look at my hand. Let me go this way. I'm going to kind of cup this in my hand, so I don't have my hand over the keys, but kind of cupped. And the same thing here. I have it kind of cupped. So I'm going to try to put that lip and that notch together by a simple twist and push, twist and push, twist and push. Now my hand can come up here where there's not much going on up there with keys. There's not much up here. You just have to kind of wiggle it around so you've got it. Now, if you have it together and it doesn't look right, look, I don't have this lip over this notch. The notch is all the way over here. That's the notch. But then you're going to double check yourself and say, this does not look lined up. This is facing this way. These guys are all over here. So you can tell it's not lined up. So you want to just twist it, make sure that lip is over that notch. And when you do that, now everything should line up and down. This is the back. The thumb grip is directly above that one little hole with the teardrop shaped key. Okay. That's the hardest part. Okay, I always put those two together. I teach my kids to put those two together first. So next, watch these guys down here, because if you grip them, it could break off or bend. Next, you want to go ahead and take your bell, and again, you're going to twist gently and push, twist and push. And that did not take very much work, but it did take about, what, 4 spins or so, okay? This does not have to be front or back. It doesn't matter if the name of your, this says Artley, but it's not directly in the front. That doesn't matter. You can if you want to. Now I'm putting this whole thing down in my lap because now I'm going to put that barrel on. Now you'll be able to tell, doesn't go. It does. So you're going to, again, twist and push. When I'm doing this, I'm being very careful that I don't push on the bell so I don't accidentally break it. Just twist and push. Be careful of this guy right here. When you're twisting and pushing, he's the long guy that comes all the way up right here and right here. You just kind of have to, hold it on the side the best you can, twist and push. Finally, you're going to put your mouthpiece on. I'm taking my ligature off because it's hard to push that on with the ligature on. I'm going to twist and push. Now, there's a hole. See if you can see it right here. Can't see if I can get the light to reflect, but it's not. The hole of the mouthpiece should be on the same side as the back of the clarinet. So the thumb rest or hook, that hole, the teardrop shaped key, lines straight up with the hole. Okay? So on the front, we have all the keys are lined up, and then this is where there is no hole. No hole at all here. Okay? The ligature goes on like that. And the screws should be facing the hole. Okay? So when you are playing this, your fingers are all going to be here on all of the holes, and the hole of the instrument right there where the reed's going to go is what goes in your mouth. Okay? So step 2 is how to assemble the reed onto the mouthpiece. Check back for that one.